Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Week 9 of the Big Dogs Racing iRacing Late Model Series, brought to you live from New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Tonight we'll be watching these guys burn up some asphalt in these late models from iRacing. We'll bring you to tonight's pole sitter.
Brian Holman, number 62. Jason Hogan, Butt Plug Emporium Chevrolet, Buford, Georgia.
Number 60, Ron Miller from Denver, Colorado, United Site Services.
Dennis Wilder, number 2, Ream, Lexus, Commerce, Georgia.
Number 12, Josh Weaver, Durham, North Carolina.
Number 1, Jason Hogan, Pygmy Goats made by Brian Holman Chevrolet.
Number 32, Machine from Wichita Falls, Texas, Robert Thompson.
Number 29, Netstream Communications, Brian Holman Design, Bobby Cannon from Winder, Georgia.
Number 92, Glenn Edgel, Lake Ronkonkoma, New York, driver the Ricani Calls car.
Driver number 42, Jack Clementi, Long Island, New York.
Number 18, from Bridgewater, Massachusetts, driving the Sirius XM Chevy, Stephen Bryan.
Number 53, from Manchester, New Hampshire, Gary Moore, driving the Senior Tour Auto Racer Chevrolet.
Number 64, from Montreal, Canada, Ingersoll Rand, Bevan CNC Chevrolet.
Number 14, Blake Jones, driver of the number, I don't know, Brian Holman, Pig Farms Chevrolet.
Number 51, from North Canton, Ohio, Don Gates.
Stephen Moore, driver of the Vicodin-powered O2 Inside Sim Racing.TV Chevrolet.
And I think rounding out our field tonight would be Ed Mahalsik in the 13th position in the number 8 Goodridge Chevrolet. And I'm not sure if Taylor Dorner has made it to the show tonight or Kyle Belcher. They seem to be having technical difficulties. Good luck tonight, gentlemen. We'll be moving down to the broadcast booth, and tonight's in-race reporters will be Bobby Cannon and Josh Weaver. Good luck. And joining me at the booth tonight is, as always, Mark Figueroa and Nick Giles, along with special guest Brian Sire-Keski. Tonight on the cameras will be Phil Diaz from GlacierTV as we watch these guys roll off the starting grid here at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. We got Brian Holman heading up the field, followed closely by Ron Miller and Josh Weaver, one of our in-race reporters, and the 2 of Dennis Wilder. This should be a really good race tonight, gentlemen. Mark, what do you think of tonight's race? And I'll turn the mic over to you for the start.
Tonight's race should be fairly decent. Nice wide open track, long straightaways, long sweeping corners. So there should be, these guys shouldn't have too much of a problem with the beating and banging tonight. So.
Green flag.
And green flag, and we've already got a little bit of a bottleneck on the start there. A couple of guys in the back of the pack get together there.
Brian Holman gets a good jump off the field, going into turn 1, coming out of turn 2, followed closely by Ron Miller and Dennis Wilder and the number 2 machine. I'm not exactly sure how many resets these guys have tonight, gentlemen, or their fuel capacity. I believe they have 8.1 gallons. I'm not exactly sure how many laps we'll get, so it'll be interesting to watch the pit strategies tonight. But I know this setup gets pretty good tire wear, but they are going to want to keep at least right sides on it.
Yeah, tires are going to be the key factor for this race tonight, especially getting through the middle of the corners with some decent speed. So it's going to be quite interesting. Right now, everybody's, for the most part, single file for about the front 8 drivers. So
Got a little bit of a race going on between the 53 machine of Gary Moore and the 18 of Steve Bryan. And right in front of them, it looks like Stephen Moore. Those guys seem to be getting after each other a little bit. I guess these spots, you know, early are going to count for a lot.
The front two, Brian Holman and Ron Miller, they're just nose to tail, but we got a pretty good battle here for third between Josh Weaver, Robert Thompson, and Dennis Weiler. These three have been battling it out a little bit, and it looks like right now it's Josh Weaver and Robert Thompson going at it.
See if Robert Thompson can drive that fuzzy taco machine up to the front. Nick, do you see any good battles going on the track tonight, buddy?
Well, actually, I was looking back at the replay of the start of that race, and it looks like the 42 car, right before they got going, had the 53 get into the back of him, sent him into the inside retaining wall there a little bit, and he ended up having to come down pit road and do some repairs.
That would be Jack Clemente. Yeah, he's already scored a lap down out of these 16 cars on the field. Old Jack, this is his first race in the broadcast series with Big Dogs, and that's probably not his favorite way to start it out.
I guess it's a little bit of an initiation saying welcome to the doghouse.
Like I was saying earlier, we got a special guest tonight, Brian Sire-Keski. So if you hear him pipe up tonight, that's who's speaking. Welcome you to the broadcast booth, Brian, and welcome you to Big Dogs Racing.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it. Looks like it's going to be a really good race tonight.
We got a really good race going right now for the 6th position between Jason Holman, Bobby Cannon, and the 2 of Dennis Wilder. Those guys are really getting after each other.
Yeah, you know Bobby Cannon's going to be wanting to try to get as much field position as he can because points leader Brian Holman's pulling away from him right now.
Following right behind those guys is Glenn Nettisel from Lake Ronkonkoma, New York. I can never say that right, but either way, he's out there on the lake. He's turning some laps in that Rick Haney-Calls car, and you know, Glenn, he's been sneaking up on the points championship as well, so these guys are going to want to catch Brian Holman and catch him quick. They're not going to want to let him get away from the field tonight.
Yeah, these three here are really getting at it. Bobby Cannon is waiting for biding his time. Ooh, the 2 gets to the wall and spins Bobby Cannon.
Well, the 2 just bails into the wall and takes out Bobby Cannon.
Yeah, did my radio sound bad out there?
What a save by Stephen Moore.
Good job, Stephen, as we take a look at the replay on that. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. We're going to make some adjustments with our camera crew right after this replay. So as we take a look and see what happened here, it looks like the 2, the 1, the 29, they all go into the corner real good. Stephen Moore right behind him. The 2 just gets into the wall, and yeah, he turns him out. That was a good avoidance move by the 2 and the 92 of Glenn Nettisel. Both of those guys, man, that was really good thinking on their part. Let's go to a commercial break. Say hello to the guys from Bob's Motorsports and give them a shout out. They're our sponsor for the series. And we're back live.
Well, it seems that Josh Weaver decided to go ahead and elect to stay out, and from there they pretty much came out as they were, except for the 2-car, which was part of that altercation, actually ended up coming out in second, with Brian Holman running third. The 60-car of Ron Miller in fourth, and rounding out your top 5, we have Robert Thompson coming out of the pits.
And in the 6th position, we've got the number 1 of Jason Hogan. The 7th position, we've got the 18 of Steve Bryan. The 8th position, we've got the 02 Superman Stephen Moore. The 9th position, we've got the 14 of Blake Jones. And in the 10th position, we've got the race admin Gary Moore driving the 53.
Right behind Gary, you got Glenn Nettershall sitting in 11th. Number 29 of Bobby Cannon, followed closely behind number 64 of Bob Evans. And then we got the number 8 of Ed Mahalsick in 14th position. The number 51 of Donnie Gates in 15th. And the gentleman who got the lucky dog on this caution here, the number 42 of Jack Clemente, rounding out our 16 cars for the evening.
It looks like Bobby Cannon went back down pit road. He didn't look to have his damage repaired, so I wonder if he's got the old famous iRacing glitch where you give guys resets, but they don't ever get them.
Yeah, that one. You know, I've got my eye on the 2-car. It's pretty interesting that he was tangled up in that situation there to cause this caution, and now he's running on the outside of the pole here. We'll have to see what he's got in store for the 12-car.
Well, we already saw that top line isn't exactly his favorite, so let's hope that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, Bobby Cannon is coming off of pit road. He went ahead and took 4 fresh Dr. Feelgoods on that. Looks like his damage is fixed, so he's back out and rolling. He'll be following up the tail end of the longest line.
As the pace car pulls off and the green comes out, Josh Weaver gets a really good jump on the green, and Brian Holman jumps in right behind him.
Shoot, the top 4 door to door.
As I watch that 2-car just about gets a piece of the wall again in front of Ron Miller and causes Ron to back out of the gas, but that lets Robert Thompson move up on the inside of that 60 car and take away that 4th spot. But I don't know, the 60 might hang on to that spot. You know, that high side gets a good run coming out of here.
Yeah, for Josh Weaver not taking any tires on that last pit stop, he's doing pretty good. So tires might not be a factor in this race.
Well, he's already lost his 1st spot to Brian Holman, and let's see if old Dennis Wilder can get up and get around him. And they got him up into the outer groove. Now they just got to close in and take the spots from him. But, you know, it was kind of early. That wreck was only lap 13, and we've seen some hellacious tire runs here in these late models. You got to think that he's got quite a bit left in there.
We got a little bit of a rub-in there between Ron Miller and Dennis Wilder. Great save by Dennis. Ron just got a little loose in the middle of the corner there, pushed up, and right there to Dennis Wilder.
That's going to move Dennis quite a ways back, and going to put Ron up into that 3rd position. You know, it's dog eat dog out there sometimes, so there's no love lost on the racetrack. These guys are all buddies in team speak, and they race together all the time. But you know, this is points night. This is broadcast night. These guys all want to see themselves in the winner's circle, and they want to hear themselves talk at the end of the race. So, you know, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, the 02 car, Stephen Moore's pulled his way up to 5th spot. That last altercation with the 2 car, Stevie had to do another quick hand save there to get out of the way of that wreck, and found himself in 5th spot after that.
Yeah, he's running a nice, comfortable 5th spot right there behind Jason Hogan and in front of Robert Thompson. Jason Hogan's another one that I expect to have a really good race tonight. You know, Jason, He doesn't get to run a lot of Tuesday nights. He seems to work late a lot, but the ones he does, he's a presence, and there he is up there in that top group making himself a presence now, as we got a heck of a battle going on back around the 64 car for the 9th spot.
Yeah, coming back up through the field, there's a good battle going on for second spot between number 60 car.
18 gets into the wall.
Oh.
Caution on the 18 gets into the wall. And
Looks like Steve Bryan, our other broadcast booth member who decides the race night, gets up into the wall a little bit as we take a look at the replay.
Yeah, that 2-car, man, I feel bad for Dennis Weiler. He got shuffled back there about 5 laps ago, and he just got tangled up pretty good with that guy.
Dennis is tough. He'll get out there and fix it.
Yeah, he did take a pretty good whack there, though.
Oh, the same thing that he did to Bobby Cannon just happened to him. Is that a little karma payback on it? You know, from the 18 car? Is that a little bad karma?
I don't know, it might be. I mean, 18 got a little loose coming out of 2, nailed the outside wall, and came down and hit the 2 of Dennis Wilder and sent him to the inside spinning.
Well, there's no lucky dogs. We are 19 laps into the race. It looks like everybody's going to come down pit road. We got 16 cars on the lead. It looks like Robert Thompson in the 32 stays out.
And the 51 of Donnie Gates. So those 2 cars might have taken a little bit of an idea from Josh Weaver. Seems how Josh really didn't lose all that much ground on that last run.
Well, they're hoping to keep that track position. I bet you they're counting on another caution.
I mean, we're working lap 20 of 110 laps tonight, so there's still a lot of strategy left to be played in this race.
Ooh, Jason Hogan wins the race off of pit road, followed by Ron Miller and Gary Moore, and then the 12 of Josh Weaver.
You know, I'm real surprised that that 60 car got out so quickly, because coming into the pits there, he had actually a little bit of difficult time getting into the stall. It looked like he had to pull himself up like twice before he actually got his crew going on him.
Well, judging by the leaf on the front of that car, it's, you know, you're going to see a mess up here and there from old Ron. He's up in that high altitude where those strange Canadian maple leaves grow. Brian Keski, you're going to be trying to climb into one of these cars in the next coming weeks. What do you think of this group of guys that are out here? It's going to be a pretty tough road to hoe, my friend.
Yes, yeah, it does. It looks like they have a lot of good battles going on here, side by side. At New Hampshire here, it's pretty tough to run side by side. How long these guys are, so. I hope to have a decent stronghold going into next weekend. I'm not sure where you guys are running, but it should be fun.
Well, heck, I'm not sure where we're running either next weekend. We'll find out after the race. We'll ask the race admin, Gary Moore, where we're going next. And yeah, you got to keep in mind these guys are running a fixed setup, so tires and fuel are the only difference in these cars. So it is a pretty tight field.
Actually, next week it's the Pharma Health 100 at Dover International Speedway, so it should make for a pretty good race.
That's a tough track, too.
Yeah, Dover, that's going to be, I believe that will be a good track for tire wear, and see who can come out on top with taking 2 tires or 4 tires.
You know, I'm looking forward to the September 11th race at Milwaukee, the Never Forget 2001, and then it's the Netstream Communication. I'm not sure the length on that. They don't have it scheduled for a length there, but I'm sure that there at the Milwaukee Mile it's going to be a pretty good race coming down to the stretch at the end of the season here.
I think they were going to do an extended race for all those people that fell victim in 2001 to that nasty attack on New York as the pace car pulls off.
Robert Thompson gets himself a good jump on the start over the 51 of Donnie Gates. And Jason Hogan comes up on the 4th position.
Well, it's going to be to Robert Thompson's best benefit to get out there and jump as early as possible and get as much lead as he can. You know, because his tires are going to wear out faster than everybody else's. They did have 8 laps on them. I don't know how much difference that's going to make, but, you know, it's going to make a little bit. Those fresh tires the first few laps are pretty hard to keep in front of.
Yeah, right now you got the race admin Gary Moore is holding up some fast cars here. You got the 12 of Josh Weaver, the 02 of Stephen Moore, and the 62 of Brian Holman, all trying to get by Gary Moore. Everybody's just kind of tiptoeing around, and got a car getting into the wall there, coming out of 2.
We're driving along in car with Brian Holman, and yeah, he's back there inside of a mess. I mean, he's got nowhere to go, and no
looks
time
like he's going to take it 3 wide.
Oh, 3 wide going into 1.
Oh, and Steve Moore comes out the sucker on that one.
Now, Stephen Moore's, what did he say? He's pretty sick tonight, actually, so just having him hang in there, you know, it's got to be a pretty rough deal to do, you know. You already get hot and sweaty when you're driving these things, and your force feedback is really, you know, really gets you going. The 51's moved into the lead of Donnie Gates. So let's see Donnie Gates, see if he can push a few laps out front with that 51 machine.
Well, that one car's going under the inside of him now. Might take the lead if he can get the momentum coming off the corner here.
Yeah, I was watching that one car when the 51 got by 32 there. The one had a pretty good run going on the backstretch. I believe it was a lap and a half ago. He could have had it, but looked like he slipped up a little bit going in.
Donnie Gates is holding on to that lead. He's got that center groove here at New Hampshire, and it's going to be hard to get around him if he can just hold his line, you know. He's got a pretty good deal there. Jason Hogan keeps looking low, but it's going to be hard to get a good run on Donnie Gates on exit as we look at the 60 machine of Ron Miller creeping up into there on the inside of the 32 of Robert Thompson. He's trying to take that 3rd spot away, followed closely by Brian Holman.
Going back up towards the lead, the 1 car is really putting the pressure on. He just got back into the back of the 51. They're coming off of, looks like 4 now and head to the finish line, and he's not giving an inch here.
Jason Hogan must not be buying this staying out on old tires routine that these guys did. And he wants him out of his way. He wants to get up there and lead some laps in his Goat Farms car by Brian Holman.
Hey, Brian, what do you think? You think the draft would play a pretty good effect here at this racetrack here?
Honestly, they're only going about probably $130, so yeah, it would have a little bit of effect, but I don't know if it would have that big of effect just because the late models don't have that much aero drag on them, I don't believe.
Ron Miller moves his way up into the 3rd spot as we got a fight between 12 of Josh Weaver, the 32 of Robert Thompson. Stephen Moore, he's Superman. Stephen Moore, he's moved that red and blue 02 machine up there towards the front. He's slowly reeling the front pack in.
And you got Ron Miller trying to take the 2nd spot from the 1 car, Jason Hogan.
Yeah, it looks like.
You know, he's going to find difficulty passing down on that bottom line, too. I got a funny feeling if Jason Hogan couldn't pull it off, it's going to be hard for anybody else to get under there. And, you know, once their tires get heated up, I think they're going to have a hard time passing underneath. I think they're going to have to wait for somebody to mess up or even go around them on the high side.
Jason Hogan got himself a little bit of a run coming off a 3. Close the gap, but I don't think he's going to have enough to make it. But Brian Holman thinks he can make the dive under the inside of Ron Miller.
These guys are 2 by 2. This front, what, 6 or 8 cars?
51,
really
leader in the wall.
Oh, Donnie Gates, that slows him down. That's going to give the lead to Jason Hogan. Yeah.
We're 3 wide going into 3.
Wow, 3 wide twice. They're doing some great racing out here. Steve Moore on the bottom.
Now, Stephen Moore, yeah, he pulled himself down on the bottom when they went 3 wide. Now he's moving back up into that preferred line.
Yeah, I think that's a losing battle trying to right on that yellow line there because you have no grip down there. You're just going to burn the right front off of the car.
Not only that, I think they're putting the car too much in a bind down on the bottom and losing a lot of that momentum that you want to carry coming off these corners here to make the pass going down the straightaway.
The 29 car of Bobby Cannon's now fallen back to 7th spot. Stephen Moore goes in for, looks like 5th spot there.
And they're between a rock and a hard place. If you got Robert Thompson between you, you know Robert don't give up very easily. As Dennis Wilder parks his car, he's out to the beer garden now. Don't know what exactly happened to Dennis. He scored 10 laps down. He just must have decided to call it a night.
Yeah, I guess that last wreck from that last caution really put his car into a really bad situation where he couldn't recover from it.
Well, I just spoke to the race admin, Gary Moore, driving that 53 machine, and he says they only had one reset. So, yeah, if 2 got into the wall on that first run, he only got it fixed once, and then when the 18 bounced off the wall, that pretty much ruined his night.
Yeah, we got the 02 car of Steve Moore working on the back door of Donnie Gates and for the last couple laps, but I'm not sure that Stevie's quite figured out a way to get around him yet.
He may have to give him a little chrome horn, you know, get him back up out of his groove and get by him that way. We watched Jason Hogan do it, and that seemed to work out. Maybe Stevie Moore, yeah. And he's not really the kind of guy that's going to give you much chrome horn, but he's also not the kind of guy that's going to patiently follow you around the track in a damaged car for very long.
Yeah, well, right now you got a nice little battle right now for the lead. You got Jason Hogan and Brian Holman, 1 and 2. Those two are really going at it. Brian's looking low, and I don't think he gets up to the rear quarter fender, and he just might be able to complete the pass.
I think all they're really going to do is let that 60 car. Well, it looks like Jason Hogan moves over and lets Brian Holman go. And but that let that 60 car and the 02 of Stephen Moore pull up onto the back of them. So there's going to be, these guys aren't done racing yet. They're not going to give Brian Holman this race.
Now, they're about 12 laps into this run right now, so these tires should be getting good and slick.
Yeah, they really seem to be for Jason Hogan. He's kind of diamonding off the corners a little bit.
I tell you what, that'll separate the men from the boys on these tracks is when them tires get heated up and they start getting a little age to them, a little wear to them. And you're going to see the guys that are real true wheelmen, and those guys that are good at just running a handful of laps real fast. You know, that's where it separates them.
I'm looking back in the pack, position 9 and 10. Looks like Glenn Nutchell is trying to pass the 53 of Gary Moore. Looks like Glenn has been saving his tires a little bit, so it looks like he's moving forward in the field.
You know, that's a strategy we see from Glenn quite a bit. He just quietly runs along in his spot, and he'll even give you some spots if you get up on his back bumper and push on him a little bit, but he don't go away. He just slowly, methodically come back up through the field. He looks for a nice clearing and keeps his car clean to the end of the run. So it's a good job by Glenn and both Gary Moore, too. I mean, they're both up there running hard, and they're both fast drivers. And, you know, we haven't said much about these guys tonight, but right behind them is the 8 of Ed Mahalsick and the 64 of Bob Bevins, and then the newcomer, Jack Clemente, in that 42. They're hovering back there as well, but I tell you what, if they don't start using these tires up, they could start being victims of lap-down circumstances pretty soon.
Yeah, that's not a good position to put yourself in, being a lap down at a mile track. So, looks like they should start to get going.
Especially with a fixed setup, yeah, you go a lap down, and your chances of racing for it back with this crowd aren't very good. I mean, you've got to be a pretty dominant car to get up there and do that. And from what I've seen, you know, once these tires come in, it's going to be hard to make a pass for anybody tonight. We're up to lap 41 of 110. It's a 110 lap race tonight. like I said, these guys are up to lap 41. They've only had 2 cautions. It's been a pretty good race so far. A lot of battling back and forth in every position around the track. And all these guys are pretty fast, but it seems like Brian Holman, he's got himself up in the front in that Obama machine, and he's sitting up there comfortably. Nobody's really up there challenging him right now.
Yeah, it looks like a tough...
Robert Thompson, the guy who started this run in the lead, has now moved himself back to the 7th position and is looking to possibly drop another position to number 12 of Josh Weaver. So I think he's regretting him not taking any tires that last caution.
Yeah, it looks like the number 02 of Stephen Moore is trying to get by the number 60 of Ron J. Miller, but the top 4 are within a breathing distance of each other, so that should be a fun little battle there.
Yeah, Brian, I've been riding in car with Steve Moore there for the last few laps, and just watch him quietly reeling in the leaders, and as he's putting it onto the 60 car of Ron Miller.
Yeah, he had him out of whack once, and he didn't take advantage of it. I think he was just being nice, but as these laps tick away, I think we're going to see a little less niceness.
Yeah, I've raced quite a bit with Steven, and he's a pretty good long run driver, let's put it that way.
Stephen Moore's had some dominant runs here lately in this late model series, and he's really been doing a good job. As the 60 car puts pressure on the back bumper of the 1, he gets underneath him. We got Ron Miller trying to take that 2nd spot away from Jason Hogan.
Yeah, Steve Moore's setting it up as he goes to the inside of the 01, trying to capitalize there with the 60 car.
Looks like Ron Miller's going to pull this pass off. He's got the advantage on entry, going to this corner right here. Yep, he pulls it off. Jason Hogan backs out of the throttle a little bit. And there's old Superman Stephen Moore. He's going to take advantage of it as well.
Unfortunately, I don't
wasn't able to complete it, though, so he falls in behind Jason Hogan.
Yeah, this track looks really hard past that. I know Steve Moore's a pretty good driver, and he's having a tough time getting by the 1 car of Jason Hogan.
Looked like old Hogan put a little bit of a block on him right there when he had that run going. And Steven backed off him a little bit, but I wouldn't expect him to stay too far off him. And as Ron Miller slowly starts creeping up on the 62 of Brian Holman, and I look a little bit ahead of Brian Holman, I see that lap down car of Jack Clemente coming up. That could play a part in this too, because it could be just as hard to get around lap down cars if they don't let you buy them.
Yeah, that's going to be the key here on these long green flag runs, is these leaders trying to get around these lap down cars if they fight them to stay on the lead lap. So we'll see what happens.
They're reeling in Jack pretty quick. While we're under this long green run, let's give a shout out to the guys over at GlacierTV. They've come in and especially Phil Diaz. Not even so much the guys from Glacier. The only one we've ever really talked to is Phil, and he's come in and done a fantastic job on the cameras here, and been extremely beneficial to Big Dogs here. And let's just give Phil a good shout out. And also a shout out to the guys over at Bob's Motorsports at www.bullseye.9f.com. For all your quarter scale needs, you guys get a hold of Bob's. They are the world's leading producer in Bullseye chassis for them quarter scale hot rods. If you're not familiar with quarter scale RC cars, go over there and take a look at the website. We've got some pretty cool stuff going on. Let's also give a sponsor for a shout out to Star, the Senior Tour Auto Racers. They're another sponsor for tonight's race. We'll notice we've got their paint scheme on the number 53 and of Gary Moore. As we see Jack Clemente, a lap down car, he pulls out of the way of these guys, and that's going to be pretty fortunate for Brian Holman. Jack decided to go down pit road and get some tires since he was going to go a lap down. We see Blake Jones has pulled off the track. He's parked it. Him and Dennis Wilder over at the beer garden now. They're going to hang out and watch the rest of this race with us and the broadcast crew, but we're not going to let them talk.
Well, you know, guys, I'm back with Steve Moore running in 4th spot. He's just been hanging out there for the, I don't know, the last 10, 15 laps. He's seems like he's just laying back a little bit, just keeping the leaders in sight. But I got a chance to talk to him before the race, and he asked him about him hitting the wall in practice, and he had said that I was just giving the wall a warning, and he wasn't kidding, because riding in the car with him various times I have with him tonight, he's scraped about 8, 9 times now.
And that'll slow him down. That might be a little bit of the reason why he hasn't been screaming by anybody too. That'll wear your tires out a little bit if you knock your toe out a little bit. And you've only got one reset, so he's got to wait till he pits to get his stuff fixed. I don't think he's been involved in any cautions. I've seen him do a couple of real good avoidance jobs.
Yeah, I've been keeping an eye on that on Ron J. Miller here. It looks like he's been catching a leader about a 10th a lap here, so I want to keep an eye on that.
Brian Holman's tires slowly starting to wear out, guys. I mean, he did give it hell the first part of this run, and we are up to lap 53, 2 more laps, and we'll be halfway in this beast. And you would think that they'd start having to looking at maybe getting some fuel. I think the last caution was somewhere around 16, wasn't it?
Yeah, that sounds correct. Yeah, it looks like the one in the 02, it looks like they're slow up on the leader, too.
Brian Holman's slowing down a little bit. Maybe he's got his tires wore out. He's also coming up on 2 more lap-down cars of Bob Bevins and Ed Mahalsick. And I don't think Bob Bevins and Ed Mahalsick are going to move over or pit and get out of their way. I think they're going to fight them to stay on the lead lap.
Well, right now you got the 08 Ed Mahalsick slowing down, hitting the apron of the track. Might be heading into the pits, so I guess it's about time for green flag pit stops here.
And maybe we're seeing the beginning of green flag runs. Donnie Gates already pitted in the 51. Yeah, maybe these guys are going to start coming down pit road soon, and it'll be interesting to see if they take 4 tires or not. I would think they would, just because it takes so long to get fuel in these rides, and you're going to want to pack it as full as you can get it. I mean, they do fill them up with a McDonald's straw or one of them little red coffee straws. They don't put the gas in any hurry. Matter of fact, I think maybe even Danica Patrick's holding the gas can and probably needs a little help.
I'll give Danica a break.
Just saw an article today on NASCAR's website wondering if Danica could run with the big boys. And guys, I guess we're here, and we know she's not watching, but she's got to be a fan of Big Dogs, because who isn't, right? So, we'll give her props. She's out there running and competing with those guys and putting on a pretty good show.
Well, coming from my old field of work there, I guess Danica Patrick does fit in with the big dogs in the way of marketing, so, if that's all she's good for, that's cool with me, too.
Shoot, with a body that looks like that, who wouldn't?
Oh, I hear you, Mark.
But yeah, you got Ron Miller in the 60 car. He's really closing in on the 62 of Brian Holman, so it ought to be quite interesting.
Ron Miller's always been one of those guys that it seems like the longer Ron gets, the better he gets. He's seems to be really, really good on the old tires and the low gas tank with keeping his machine under control. But I tell you what, he hasn't pulled away from the 1 of Jason Hogan or the 02 of Stephen Moore. So I tell you, I think this pit stop's going to be pretty crucial for these guys not to make any of those mile-high mistakes that Ron Miller made in the last pit stop.
They've been running a pretty good race here. Ran a pretty consistent amount of laps off this last run here, and I want to take my hats off to all the drivers.
Looks like Bob Bevins comes out of the pits right in front of the leaders, but I don't think he's going to have an effect on him. He's got them fresh tires, so he should pull away from these guys. Or no, he's going down pit road again. Maybe he sped. Yep, he may be serving a speeding penalty. Old Bob Bevins, you know, he's another one of our sponsors with the Bevins CNC, and I'm not sure what his new company's called, but he's got a heck of a CNC project going on. And if you guys are curious about getting some CNC work done, come into the Big Dogs Racing forums at bigdogsracing.org and give Bob Bevins a shout, and he'll be happy to show you some of his work. And he's been making some cool signs and different kind of artwork. He's got a pretty radical CNC setup going.
And you got the number 12 of Josh Weaver hitting the pit road. I'm just kind of curious on how many more laps these top 4 cars are going to be able to stay out on the out on the track.
Yeah, because they all pitted together. I mean, Robert Thompson stayed out the longest. And he's
the 60s pitting.
Ron Miller's going into the pits. He's going to try to get the new tire advantage on this lead group. Let's hope he doesn't speed or do anything weird.
And I do believe the way these guys are pitting, if this thing stays green the rest of the way, they're going to have at least one more pit stop before the end of this race.
Yeah, if you were to speed down pit road here, that would definitely hurt your chances of winning. It doesn't look like there's going to be many cautions. As the top 3 cars pit going in, Stephen Moore locks them up going in pit road.
Wonder if he got a penalty there. I'll check on that.
It looked like he had it slowed down in time. It'll be close, though.
Let's see if they take 2 or 4.
Brian Holman comes to his pit, and right side's up for him. So he's taking right side tires.
Oh, they're all going to take all 4 tires. They're going to have to pack 8 gallons of fuel into these things. They're going to take 4 tires and get a water bottle or 2 and flip down their sun visor and look at their pictures of Danica and whatever. Ron Miller just now leaving the pits.
Yeah, like you were saying earlier, Rob, I think the pit crew does have a little sippy cup to put the gas in these puppies.
It seems like it. That's going to move the 92 of Glenn Nettersel into the lead. I think he's the only car that hasn't pitted yet. So, you know, Glenn's got himself a little strategy going on. I'm not sure what it is, but he's got one.
The number 62 of Brian Holman just got done pulling off a pit road, so it's going to be interesting to see how this cycle of green flag pit stops plays out.
Well, I got a report from the O2 car, and yeah, he was speeding down pit road. Oh, and there's a caution. We'll see how that shakes things out.
Ooh.
Jason Hogan almost nailed him.
That's something that Steve Moore didn't want to see yet.
Not exactly sure what brought that caution out, but did Glenn Nettersel have the entire field a lap down just about?
There's 2 other cars scored on the lead lap right now. You got the 51 of Donnie Gates and the number 29 of Bobby Cannon. So
looks like the 64 of Robert Thompson brought out that caution, or Bob Evans. Looks like he got a little help.
Yeah, it looks like the 64 might have been coming back into the No, I don't know what happened there. He must have just got loose and the 60 never lifted.
There's going to be plenty of cars taking the wave around on this caution flag.
Yeah, that's going to trap a lot of cars a lap down. Wow. That could change the whole complexion of this race.
Interestingly enough, it seems that maybe Steve Moore actually didn't go a lap down there.
That's like putting freckles on the fat kid. You know, he's already got a tough time being chubby. Then you add a bunch of freckles to him.
Yep, it's showing 9 cars on the lead lap right now, guys.
Okay, so it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. The lucky dog, there won't be a lucky dog because he caused a caution, actually. as we're under caution number 3. We're 64 laps into this race. We've still got 13 of the 16 cars that started out there running, having a phenomenal race. Maybe this would be a good time to go and give a shout out to our sponsors, the guys over from Bob's Motorsports, and let everybody get tuned in with what they got going on over there. And we're back live. Welcome to Big Dogs Racing, Week 9 of the Late Model Series, brought to you from New Hampshire. These guys are putting on one hell of a show.
Yeah, it's been nuts. These guys racing for everything on every lap, so they ain't leaving nothing out there to for somebody else, that's for sure.
We're gonna have
that caution definitely mixed things up. You had Ron Miller, Brian Holman, Josh Weaver, and Stephen Moore. I think it was in the top 4, and now they're shuffled from 4th on back, as you got Donnie Gates, Glenn Udishill, and Bobby Cannon rounding out your top 3.
I think Glenn was about the only car that hadn't pitted yet, but he was so far behind him, I don't think he could take advantage of it. And here comes a massive wave by as we see Bobby Cannon. Who else? Everybody's going by.
Poor Stephen Moore. Coming into the pits there, I'm not really sure what exactly happened to him, but he went from, I believe, 4th back to 8th, so that's -4 spots for Mr. Moore.
Ouch, this is kind of late in the race to be having that happen, too. There's only going to be 40 laps to go when they go green. A whole bunch of these guys taking the wave by. Holy smokes. I don't even know where to start.
It doesn't even look like when he spent all that time in pit road that they actually did anything to that right front of Steve Morris from all the time that he pounded. Well, he didn't pound the wall, but he scrubbed it a whole bunch of times.
Well, let's just say this. The only cars that did not take the wave around on this caution, Glenn Nedishall, Donnie Gates, and Bobby Cannon. As they go green.
And the field's screaming up behind him. You know, as Glenn Nedishall finally gets himself up to the lead. Maybe his strategy was paying off. You know,
Bobby Cannon threads the needle.
Bobby Cannon caught the East group. Boy, he was up to full speed when they took the green. And old Bob Evans, he's banging doors with him down the straightaway and trying to keep that position. Looks like Donnie Gates has pulled into the lead.
3 wide action in the middle, coming out of 4 right now. Let's see. Hopefully they don't wreck. Oh, they're banging doors.
Yeah, they're not playing nice out there, and it's going to be hard for. Bob Evans washes up a little bit in that 64. Maybe he wants to save his door skins.
I'll tell you this much: Bobby Cannon is wanting that lead so he can get them bonus points for leading the lap. Try to reel in our points leader, Brian Holman. So
as he drives that number 29 Netstream Communications Brian Holman Designs ride, he pulls that sucker up into 2nd place behind Donnie Gates. And I tell you what, Donnie Gates has got fresh tires, and we saw him earlier. He wasn't easy to get around with old tires.
We're rolling back to 5th spot. Actually now 4th spot. Brian Holman. He's been working on that, looks like the number 12 car.
Josh Weaver, one of our in-race reporters who we haven't yet spoke to tonight because they've been going at it so hard. And he's going to pull Ron Miller up in there with him. So Ron Miller's going to try to get by that 12 too. But we saw it, passing on the bottom ain't easy to do.
Yeah, that 92 car, Glenn, he goes, runs into third spot, but he has Brian Holman reeling him in now.
Tell you what, you guys, this has been I won't even say this has been a barn burner, because this barn is burnt to the ground and they've lit another one on fire. These guys are racing.
Yeah, we got a race for 6th spot between Ron Miller, Jason Hogan, Stephen Moore, and Josh Weavers. These guys are really getting at it for that 6th position.
Oh yeah, every position's a tough one.
Man, that's a gaggle of cars right there. They're racing hard, too. That 64 Bob Blevins, the lap car, he does not want to give up any position.
Yeah, racing hard is Brian Holman, working on the number 92 car. He's really wanting to get into that third spot there.
Gentleman Glenn Nettesel in that 92 Rick Haney Calls car from Lake Ronkonkoma. There we go. I nailed it that time, you guys. New York. I don't know. Is Glenn going to be a gentleman now, or is he going to fight? Because if I was Glenn, I'd fight.
Glenn normally turns it up there at the end with working lap 75 of 110 laps this evening. So they got 35 laps left to go in this race. So it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely go time.
I tell you what, Donnie Gates up there in that first position, he's nice and comfortable up there. As we see Steve Bryan pull back out on the track, 31 laps down. I'm surprised. Well, maybe Steve ran out of money at the beer garden. He got his drunk ass back out up on the track there trying to salvage something or just, I don't know, stir up the guys behind him. Who knows?
Yeah, right now the number 92 car has been running faster than the leader Donnie Gates, so we'll see what he's got for him.
Telling you, Glenn's a driver, man. He don't always get up there and battle you for position, but when he needs to go, he goes. He's driving that Rob Moore Designs car, the Rick Haney Calls ride. Duck calls from Buckner, Missouri. You know, if you guys want to go in and get yourself a hunting call, give Rick Haney Calls go to their website, www.rickhaneycalls.com. Tell them Rob Moore sent you from BigDogs Racing, and see if he'll cut you some slack on his pricing as we watch the leaders blast by Steve Bryan in that 18 car that's like 400 laps down now.
Yeah, the number 62 of Brian Holman's working that inside there for third spot. See if he can get him going into one.
Poor old Steve Bryan, man. He finally got a good internet connection. He ain't blinking. And oh, look at that. We got a lead change. Bobby Cannon takes the lead away from Donnie Gates.
Yeah, they're possibly going to go 3 wide here going on the backstretch.
Ron Miller pulls up into this mix in the 60 ride. He's going to get by him too. He's got that high side. I think he's figured out you can't really get by him on the bottom, so he does it on the top, and he does it with ease.
Yeah, Donnie Gates falls way back to 5th spot after that.
Hey guys, just remember, it's going to be a real close finish here because these guys had a little bit over 35 laps to go at the drop of the green flag. Donnie Gates just might have realized, hey, I need to conserve some fuel to make it to the end. So who knows? He might be conserving some fuel to make it to the end of this race.
As we look forward to the race for the lead here, we got Bobby Cannon and Glenn Nettesel, and right pulling on the inside of Glenn is Brian Holman in that 62, but I don't think Glenn's going to let him pass him that easy, and that bottom's not easy to get around guys on as Glenn, you know, gets a run coming out of the corner and pulls back up in front of him.
Hey, Glenn tries to pinch him there halfway down the backstretch, but looks like Brian just might actually have something for him here in the middle of turns 3 and 4.
So lap 81, we currently have Bobby Cannon in the 29, scored in the first position, followed closely by Glenn Nettersole in the 92. And then the third spot, we've got Brian Holman in the 62, our current points leader, followed closely by the number 60 car of Ron Miller. And in the fifth spot, we've got the number 1 of Jason Hogan.
Now the leader, Bobby Cannon, he's been liking running up in the lead and watching the 92 and 62 run side by side, but he's definitely not liking what just happened now as Brian Holman takes second place.
Oh, Brian Holman, yeah, he got second away from Glenn, and now Ron Miller's trying to figure out how he's going to get by him because he don't want to let Brian Holman get away either. You know, they couldn't. It took him a whole fuel run to run him down last time, so I wouldn't let him get too far ahead.
These top 6 cars have been battling pretty much the whole race, minus Mr. Glenn Nettersole in that 92 car. So
And I think Glenn was battling. He just wasn't battling with the cars up front.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to the 60 car there of Ron Miller. I don't know if he's saving fuel, trying to save tire, or what's the deal there. He just looks like he lost about a second that last lap, and he gives up another position.
I tell you what, I just talked to the race admin, Gary Moore, and yeah, some of these guys are going into extreme fuel conservation mode. They are all very, very tight on fuel.
You know, and somebody we haven't been talking about since that last round of pit stops, the 02 Stephen Moore, he's reeling in the number 1 car of Jason Hogan there for 4th spot.
Yeah, it's about time Steven puts his cape on and starts flying to the front.
Yeah, I don't know about that. He's been having a pretty good run lately, but I think that sickness was getting to him at the early beginning of this race, but now looks like he's turning the fire up a little bit.
He's going to have a tough time getting around old wily veteran Jason Hogan, you know.
Yeah, they're running side by side.
Wow, that was a power move by Mr. Moore.
Yeah, that was a really good move.
Yeah, Jason Hogan backs out, lets him go.
Yeah, and the number 92 car.
Oh, Bobby Cannon
gets
into Brian Holman, and the caution doesn't come out. They keep going. Oh, that's going to change some things up. That's going to move the 02 into the back bumper of Bobby Cannon.
Yeah, the 92 of Glenn Nettersole right there got into the inside retaining wall trying to miss him. That's an unfortunate break for him.
Oh, yeah, he was having a great run tonight. Well, that answered our question. Was Bobby Cannon going to let Brian Holman get by him? And it didn't seem he was going to let him get by him without a fight, did it? It's going to move Brian Holman back a few positions, back to the 4th position. Glenn Nettersole, I don't know, he may be really conserving fuel, or he may have more damage than we realize. He's dropping back pretty quick.
Yeah, I just looked at the replay there. It looks like number 29 car of Mr. Cannon just drove right into the back of Brian Holman there. So it looks like they'll have some words for each other at the end of the race.
Well, they're good buddies. You know, they may throw a helmet or two, but they'll come out of it being buddies at the end and fighting next week.
Speaking of throwing helmets, what'd you think of Tony Stewart's 2-arm throw?
Well, as a Matt Kenseth fan, I don't know. All I can say is Tony Stewart looked awful chubby in his race suit.
Matt Kenseth ain't too far behind. If anything, he's right there door to door with Tony Stewart on that aspect.
So we've got Bobby Cannon. He's up there. He's holding off old Stephen Moore, who's got to be licking his chops about now, you know. After this whole race, 20 to go, you know, there was a pretty big mishap. It looks like Bobby Cannon's got a little damage on the front end, and that may allow Stephen Moore to capitalize on it and get around him here late in the run. But they're both going to have to save fuel.
You know what's amazing? Oh, here, the leader's going into the pits.
He may have realized he don't have enough gas to make it since he's led so many laps.
I know if I was the top 3 cars here, I'd be lifting halfway down the straightaway and using that clutch pedal a lot. I think that would help a lot. Plus, then you wouldn't have to pit. And pitting here takes you it probably takes you 10 seconds to put 1 gallon of gas in it, so.
And you got to wonder if they're going to take tires, too. I mean, I might almost consider right sides.
Well, Bobby Cannon's in the pits. I do believe looks like he's just taking gas only. I don't see his pit crew attending left side or right side. And he's comes out of his pits. And he takes gas only for that pit stop.
Bob Bevins is also in the pits for fuel, so yeah, I'm thinking, you know, these guys are gambling that some of these guys are going to run out.
And I think Bobby Cannon might actually have stayed on the lead lap.
Wow, that'd be crazy, huh? This is a pretty big track, and these cars aren't extremely fast.
Looks like the number 8 car of Ed Mahalik is coming down pit road for gas also.
Oh, Ed Mahalik driving that Goodridge Chevrolet. Ed's a good guy. He's one of the founders of BigDogs Racing and good strategist as well. So maybe he is thinking, you know, I have to get fuel. And he's also going to get right side tires on that buggy.
I believe that's a smart move by Ed. If you're in the pits for that long, you might as well take tires.
I think so. Even if you're only going to get, you know, a gallon or 2, I think the right sides will give you a little more on that long run, just that little bit extra that you're going to lose. We watched Stephen Moore. He's got a 2.5 lead over the 2nd place car of Jason Hogan, but we've got to ask ourselves, you know, does he have enough fuel? And he's also one of those guys we saw going back down pit road with 1 to go, thinking that he may have got a speeding penalty when he may have been topping off.
That would be a smart move. He got us fooled, doesn't he?
But will he still make it? I mean, these guys are, you know, there's only 15 laps to go, so I mean, he's got to know by now if he's going to make it on fuel. Still, I'm thinking even if he got fuel on 1 to go, he's still pretty tight on fuel, and I think you burn more fuel as well when you're leading laps. We currently show the 29 of Bobby Cannon. He is scored a lap down at this point.
Yeah, Bobby Cannon's sitting in a pretty good spot right now. He's sitting the first car a lap down, so if for some dumb reason we get a caution out, he'll be getting that lucky dog.
As we see a bunch of other cars come down pit road, Glenn Nettersole, he comes down for some fuel, and it's going to be close, guys. I think Stephen Moore, he's probably just giving it all he's got. You know, he's going to try to get as big a lead as he can so he can take just a little bit of gas and get the heck out of there. As we watch Glenn pit.
Yeah, I was talking to Stephen before the race here. And he was saying in practice yesterday he did a couple laps. He was feeling kind of ill, and he said he got out of the car and threw up. So hopefully that's not an issue for tonight.
And hopefully he's got a bucket next to him.
And if he does have a bucket next to him, hopefully he's wearing a half-face helmet. That way you don't get none on him.
Don't get it on the paint. That stuff will wreck it.
32 and the 51, I've been kind of keeping an eye on them, and they're slowed way down saving fuel. So, you know, they also pitted with 1 to go with Stephen Moore, and if they're in conservation mode like that, maybe they know something.
Well, Stephen Moore, he just turned a 32.144 second lap, so he is nowhere near trying to conserve any kind of fuel. He is just walking away from the field right now.
Yeah, I think he's got the opposite approach right now. Burn as much as possible.
That, and make sure, maybe he thinks if he goes fast enough, he can coast across the start-finish line for the win.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We got a little over 10 laps to go. See if these guys can make it. We got 3 more that just are going balls to the wall the best they can, and who knows what's going to come of them. And as you got Robert Thompson and Donnie Gates, like you said, just sitting back, or Robert Thompson anyway, sitting back there riding.
The 60 and Brian Holman also pit. They're pitting, and it makes you wonder. They know they didn't have enough gas, so they went down pit road. As we see Brian Holman come out there next to the leader, Stephen Moore, he comes out right on his back bumper.
Yeah, the 62 car, he just got gas only, it looked like. So, gonna be real interesting how it turns out here.
Yeah, the 60 car, Ron Miller, he's doing some conserving of some fuel. His last lap time was a 34.3 second lap, so he's doing his best to try to conserve as much fuel as he's got in that thing.
Yeah, maybe we were looking at it wrong, guys. At the beginning of the race, Stephen Moore was having a little trouble passing some cars, but maybe he was just drafting with them.
We're watching the 51 of Donnie Gates and the 32 of Robert Thompson. They're saving fuel and racing at the same time, and you got to wonder how effective that's going to be. But what the heck, huh? They are here to race. They're not here to give a spot away. So, you know, hopefully they've saved enough now they can drag race to the finish.
Well, yeah, Brian's got a point there. Steve Moore, he's a pretty good fuel strategist, so it's very possible that's what he was doing there.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. I mean, I haven't talked to any of the guys up there. I knew they were close on fuel. You know, maybe that one to go pit strategy was just enough, but I don't know. I mean, I would think that if it was, these guys would have waited as long as possible to pit.
You know, Brian Holman's really working hard to try to get this lap back here from Steve Moore.
Looks like Stephen Moore may be just slowing down just a little bit now because he's not pulling away from Brian Holman. They're both on old tires, I guess.
Yep.
We've only got 5 cars left on the lead lap. It would be Stephen Moore in the 02, currently the leader, followed by the 1 of Jason Hogan. Behind him is the 51 of Donnie Gates and the 32 of Robert Thompson. And in the 5th spot would be Ron J. Miller in the number 60.
Oh, would you look at that? Looks like Jason Hogan just pit, so it looks like Stephen Moore is going to have about a 15-second lead. That'll give him plenty enough time to save gas now.
And it looks like he's going to back off and let Brian Holman go. So he's either going to pit or he's going to really take his foot off the gas pedal and roll this thing across the line.
He's pretty much got a straightaway advantage over the 51 of Donnie Gates. So we'll see what happens.
They've only got 4 laps to go. These guys have put on a heck of a show tonight. I'd like to give a shout out to all of them. Every one of these guys have put on a good show and had a great race. They've done it with what, 3? Oh, Stephen Moore.
Stephen Moore
coming down.
There's your leader pitting. Boy,
Number
that's
51 of Donnie Gates looks like he's going to take over the lead. Let's see if he was able to conserve enough fuel to make it to the finish.
Well, him or Robert Thompson, I mean, they were right there with each other, so, you know, maybe they saved enough. It's hard telling.
I mean, Donnie Gates, he backed out of it early in this run, and I think he might have been able to save enough fuel to make it to the end, because he's turning a 32.6 second lap right now, so.
We see Ron Miller go by Stephen Moore as he exits the pits. And that's going to stir things up if Donnie Gates can make it. I mean, it'd be his first win here at Big Dogs. So let's all cross our fingers for Donnie as he's got 3 laps to go. Yeah, that's something else to consider. You know, when they had that caution and all those guys were trapped a lap down, the 51 and the 92 are the only guys that were allowed to pit on schedule, and the rest of them couldn't.
Yeah, the rest of them had to take the wave around, and those guys actually pitted with 1 to go. So, and with Mr. Donnie Gates backing it off early in the run, realizing he couldn't make it to the end, he might have saved enough.
Stephen Moore, he's still in the 4th spot, though. I mean, so even if, he's still going to get a good finish at tonight's run either way.
Yeah, him and Ron better hope those top 2 guys run out of field, because otherwise, oh, what happened now? It looks like a 60's slowing up big.
White flags on the track for the 51 of Donnie Gates.
Will he make it all the way around?
Look, he's still got his foot in it. He's still picking up speed going down the backstretch as he makes it into 3. Looks like he's still under power. He's got 6 seconds over Robert Thompson, so he's coming out of 4. Looks like he's still under power. He's going to finish the race.
He's out. Ron Miller's out of gas in the number 60 car.
Oh, that's going to kill his finish.
Yeah, it looks like the number 32 of Robert Thompson was running out, coming out of 4 there, but he still got second place. What a good run for him.
As we go through our finishing order, congratulations to Donnie Gates in the number 51 car. Second place is the number 32 of Robert Thompson. The 02 of Stephen Superman Moore finishes in 3rd, followed in 4th by Jason Hogan in the number 1. Following
Stephen's
him
pushing on him.
would be Brian Holman in that number 60 car, our points leader. 6th place would be Ron Miller in the 60 car, followed by Bobby Cannon in the number 7. Josh Weaver in the number 12 brings home the 8th spot. 53 of Gary Moore brings it home in 9th. Bob Bevins brings it home in the 10th position. Ed Mahalsick in the 11th position in the 8 car. Jack Clemente, newcomer to Big Dogs, first night out in the late models, gets a 12th place finish in that number 42. The 13th place car, Glenn Nettershall, would be in the 92, followed by Steve Bryan, who finished the race in the 14th position in that 18 car. And then the other guys that didn't finish were Blake Jones in the number 14 and Dennis Wilder in the number 2. As we get ready to pull down our race winner and league admin, and I think we'll interview the top 5 spots from tonight.
Yeah, guys, I don't know about you, but I think Stephen Moore is a pretty good sport. If you saw there, Robert Thompson ran out of fuel, and once Stephen Moore caught him, he pushed him back to the pits, so it saved them a tow truck ride.
As our race finishers climb out of the cars and we get them moved into the booth with us here, and we'd like to give another shout out to the guys over at Bob's Motorsports and tell them thank you so much for sponsoring these races for us and allowing us to put on this show. And the guys from Phil Diaz from GlacierTV, he did a good job for us, and he's been on the cameras week in and week out, and we've had a good time working with Phil. He's a heck of a good guy, and although you guys don't get to hear him talk, man, he's a riot to chat with here in TeamSpeak. As we've got our top 5 drivers in the booth with us, and I'll bring in our league admin, Gary Moore. Where's Gary? There he is. Donnie Gates. Donnie Gates saves fuel, wins himself his first race at Big Dogs Racing at New Hampshire Speedway in the late models. First off, congratulations to you, Donnie. How'd your race go for you, bud?
Thank you. I was lucky. We got that caution. I think it was me and who was it? Glenn stayed out. We were the 2 on the lead lap, and then I topped off on fuel and just saved to finish with about 3 to go.
That was a good run, Donnie. You ran an awesome race strategy. We wondered when you were backing off, just a few laps into that run, if that wasn't your strategy, if you didn't know you were that close. And it paid off for you, man. So good job tonight, bud.
Thank you. Like I said, yeah, I had to back off. I just let him go and saved it. And, Token was trying to save and a couple other guys, so.
Hey, Robert Thompson, second place finisher. You look like you did a pretty good job tonight with your little strategy on the fuel savings. How did you think the race played out?
Yeah, 10-4. Yeah, I actually ran out going into turn 3 and just sputtered to the finish line there. But yeah, I seen them guys pitting. I started backing off and start saving fuel there, and thought that'd be a good strategy to play.
That's a great run for you. I do believe it's your best finish so far this season. So congratulations and good luck next week at Dover.
Well, thank you guys. I'd like to thank GlacierTV, Phil Diaz, and all you guys that work so hard up there in the booth.
Hey, we appreciate it, man. As we got newcomer to the booth, Brian Sire-Keski. He's going to interview our third place runner, Stephen Moore.
Hey, Stephen, nice job out there. I just got to ask, how was your car this race?
Oh, thank you. It was good. I liked it. It was a little tight, but you know, I felt like I was pretty fast, at least one of the fastest guys out there, and I never really got track position until towards the end, and then I really didn't think that anyone could make it on fuel, but I was obviously proved wrong.
Yeah, I hear you there. I just got to ask, did taking 2 tires or 4 tires tighten or loosen the car up at all for you?
4 still made it tight. It was just tight no matter what, but didn't really like 2, so I just tried to stick with 4.
Yeah, I hear you. I also heard you were feeling a little sick there before the race was starting.
That was the first race I've ever done jacked up on Vicodin. I'm really dizzy.
Oh, yeah. Hey, nice job, Stephen.
So what you're telling us is you're not going to pass the post-race drug screening, huh?
Not by a long, long mile.
As we interview the fourth place driver, Jason Hogan, in that number 1 ride. Jason doesn't get a chance to run very much, but pulled himself a good 4th place finish tonight. Jason Hogan, good run. How was your race tonight, buddy?
My race was great. You know, I don't get to run as often as I like, but when we show up, we're fast, and I like to run up front. I always enjoy running with Brian and Steven and all the guys. So the car was really good, better on 2 tires than it was 4, and kind of wished we'd had a late race caution because I think we really had something for them.
I think you may be right there. You know, I would have to say this was the best race that I've watched from the booth yet in this series, and I think they're only going to get better. You know, you guys are going into Dover next Tuesday night, and that's another fast track. You guys did this whole race with just a handful of cautions, and I'd like to congratulate all of you for putting on a good run as we bring up our 5th place finisher, Brian Holman.
All right, Brian, Mark in the booth. Looked like you had a little bit of an up and down night tonight. How do you think you guys fared?
Well, first off, I gotta congratulate Donnie Gates and Robert Fuzzy Thompson on saving fuel. I have no idea how they did it, but you know, congratulations. They run a hell of a race. So, but yeah, my Jason Hogan butt plug Emporium Chevrolet was, you know, pretty good. We you know, we led a good bit of the race, and you know, we had a fast car all night. Probably wasn't the fastest, but you know, we got bumped a little bit there by Bobby racing hard, and you know, which, I mean, I know it wasn't no intentional deal, but you know, I'm happy with the top 5. We had a good race, clean race, 0 incidents, so you know, I'm happy with the 4th or 5th place finish.
I think old Bobby was just trying to pull out your butt plug to hear the pop, Brian.
I didn't have one in. I was trying to pull Hogan's out.
As we finish off tonight's show with the race admin, Gary Moore, you want to walk us through how the race went from the admin booth and let us know what's going on in the weeks to come here at Big Dogs?
Well, as the admin, it was easy as usual. These guys do a great job and everything, and it was a great race. And we'd like to thank Bob's Motorsports again and all the commentators for all the hard work. Next week, like Rob said, we're at Dover, and we look forward to seeing you again on Tuesday night.
Well, everybody, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in tonight. We'd like to thank all these drivers for putting on one hell of a good show. As we close out the evening, we'll say farewell to everybody. Good night.